What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another Chance Encounter.
Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. We're seeing more properties like this being built in front of a house that's going to be torn down soon. I understand that there are power lines that are getting kind of close. What's up again? This is Dan Fredenberg, and that there is a commercial real estate building.
I'm joined today with Christina. Is it pronounced Kovacs? Is that how you pronounce it?
Kovacs.
Oh, Kovacs. Okay, so it's a
Yeah,
ch sound. Okay, cool.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so how you doing today, Christina?
Excellent. How about yourself?
Oh, I can't really complain. But for those of you in the audience who've never seen a chance encounter before, this is how it works. I interview commercial real estate investors, and I'm spending 15 minutes with them to say, hey, there are 5 different motivations I've found that are distinct among these different commercial real estate investors, and which one's you? And then I go through the 6 different roles in a commercial deal, and I find out the core competency of my guest. And you can get your own one at dandoesdeals.com. I don't ask for your email. It's totally free. You can just go ahead and download it and print it out. So that way you can practice discussing the subject of commercial real estate with your friends and family or whoever. But the other thing you're going to have to do if you're going to get good at working in commercial real estate is you're going to have to get very good at introducing yourself. So, Christina, with that little T up there, can you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Absolutely. I'm Christina Kovacs. I live in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I've been in real estate since 2010. Started as an agent, did some live-in flips for a couple of years, transitioned into flipping with some partners here in Southeast Florida, and then eventually on our own, dabbled in short-term rentals for a couple of years. Got out of that, and now transitioning into multifamily where you can actually scale.
Right, exactly. My background is in CRMs and online funnels, and that's what I ended up doing at the single family firm. But it wasn't scalable for a guy who's remote based like me. So that's
Right.
why I decided, yeah, commercial is the way to go. So I always go through the motivations first in this show because sometimes I have people on and they don't have any experience. And if that's the case, then they'll know why they're getting involved, but they don't know what they're going to do. So at least this makes people a little bit more comfortable. And so these are the 5 distinct motivations. The first one is preserving your purchasing power. Okay. So if you rely on the cash flow that comes from your assets, your wealth, if that's how you make ends meet, then a lot of people like you are getting more acquisitions just because they're concerned of inflation eating away at that purchasing power of the cash flow. And the whole idea is you can't be getting rid of your assets because then you're just going to make your situation even worse. So that's the first motivation that some people have. But my one is this next one, which is trading time for wealth. So I mentioned before that I was in the CRM company, I was at a CRM company and I was running all those for as the admin and all that sort of extremely boring stuff. But the problem with being a high wage or high salary earner is that you're paying more tax as a percent of what you get coming in than anybody else. So it hit me as like, why don't I pivot into a position where I'm accumulating equity or wealth instead, and then achieving the tax advantages of that? So that's my one. And that's the second one. But most people are in this because they want to fast track retirement. And just so that we're clear what that means is like maybe they're just going to become an accredited investor and then move someplace where the cost of living is super duper low. But no matter what, it's about scaling back the amount of time you spend hustling and working. Maybe it's like, a few months a year or 1 week per month or whatever it ends up being. That's what people who are looking to retire are up to. But the next group, they're so ambitious. They want to buy their entire hometown. They're looking for multi-generational wealth. They want to make sure that their great grandchildren never have to work a day job. Okay. So these guys will hustle, into their 90s. So they're a different personality type. They're in it for something different. And that's great to have on a GP team as well, just because you know that they're not going to disappear. But the other ones who are similar, but their motivations are different, I like to say that they're trying to save the world. Some people, they pick a sector of society, or maybe it's the environment, or maybe it's animals. But regardless, they realize that accumulating wealth is the best vehicle out there to make a real impact on society. So they end up making commercial acquisitions. So those are the 5 different motivations that I've found commercial investors tend to have. Christina, which of those resonated with you or describe you best?
Well, I'm with most people in the fast track to retirement. However, with that said, I don't think I'll ever be fully retired. I hope that the ultimate goal will be a sponsor KP and still have somewhat of an active role, but more passive than the other roles.
Right,
so that would be the ultimate. And then, of course, hedging against inflation is a key part of moving our capital to a place where we're not losing constantly. So.
Yeah, right. Well, you could always put it in a bank in a savings account and get like 1/6%. And when you got like 7% inflation, what could possibly go wrong except for the fact that you're literally losing money all the time? Anyway, that's not why you're here. Let's talk about the different roles in a commercial real estate deal. And I like to start with the repositioner, because you're probably more likely to run into a repositioner than anybody else. And what they do is they look at different properties, and why are they looking at them? What are they doing with them? Well, there's a fancy word for it. First, they're going to underwrite the property, and that means doing the math. They're just checking through the numbers, saying, hey, this seller, because they're an acquisition guy, repositioner is also an acquisitions guy, they're saying, hey, is this property actually making what the seller says it is? But they're also thinking, how can I reposition it? In other words, what can I do to this property to mean that we have more upside? And there are 2 main tools for finding upside. The first one is more efficient operations. So you get fewer of these Benjamins going down the toilet here. But operations is more than just unclogging toilets and collecting rents and doing books. It's also a marketing piece. And that's one of my fortes that I'm bringing to my teams, is being able to make sure the vacancy rates stay low with great marketing, but also with my programming, it's different automations and whatnot. But these days, operations are not going to be enough upside for a repositioner in general. So they're probably also going to get a contractor team, and they're going to be doing the value add or the renovations. So if you actually make the building nicer, you make the units nicer, then you can charge more in rent, because people would rather live there. But if you are a repositioner like me, then you got a big fat problem, which is that I'm on the internet. So that means I can't be there on short notice. So you're going to need boots on the ground. You're going to need somebody there who can, be there in an hour or 2, which is about the amount of time that it'll probably take for me to go get my passport. So they're better. So if you are a tenant, though, and you look at those people all standing next to each other in a row, you'll probably say, oh, well, they're the owners. But of course, there's more to it than that. And this is the other way that you can get upside, is by going to a different financier and getting better terms on your loans. But basically, the bank, the capital raisers are also types of financiers. But the bank is going to want to know something that I haven't mentioned yet, which is, who's your KP? Who's your sponsor? Okay. And what I mean by that is that even if you're Elon Musk, the richest guy on earth, okay, if he wanted to buy a 350 unit apartment complex or a 1,500 unit apartment complex, if he wants to get a loan, the only way he can do that is if somebody in the fold already owns a similar asset. Now, there are a couple other restrictions, like you have to have a certain amount of liquidity, and then you also have to have a balance sheet of at least the amount of the loan. But if you got all those pieces, you've got yourself a commercial real estate deal. So, Christina, out of those different roles there, what's your core competency? What are you most likely to bring to your next deal?
Well, being a real estate broker, the love for the hunt of the deal is there. So acquisitions, and then underwriting as well, and then local boots in the ground. That's what I'm able to provide for value to a team as of right now, because I'm focusing within the Southeast and within a 2-hour range of where I am in Fort Lauderdale.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's perfect. And so, so that's the geography. As far as unit count and classes, though, and just so you and the camera know, class, there's 2 different parts to class, and unfortunately, they both go off of an A, B, C rating. Okay, one of them is for the location in terms of like proximity to schools or jobs or shopping, or and then also like the crime rate there. But the other one is the condition of the building. So like how beat up is it? So A would be better, B is second, and C in that sense. But as an investment criteria, Christina, can you describe your buy box, the ideal property, a little bit better?
Yep. So right now, 15 to 30 units is kind of where I'm going in the deal box, and then within, like I said, the Southeast Florida region to Central Coast as well, within 2 hours of Fort Lauderdale. And I'm looking at Class C value add deals where I can reposition them, in Class B areas, possibly A, but more like a B. And then I'm also looking at, in that Class C, 1978 or newer, preferably. So that's where I'm at with that. And ultimately, I'm in the South Florida region, but I'm also willing to deploy some capital into a JV into the Southeast region of the US.
All right, sweet, sweet. And what's the best way to reach out to you? Like I found you on Facebook, which is unusual for me. I spend all my time on LinkedIn, but is Facebook the best way to catch you, or is there a website that's better or something?
Yeah, so Facebook works for sure. LinkedIn as well. And I actually know of you initially from Yona's Challenge.
Oh, okay.
Back late last year. So LinkedIn works, but also ChristinaKovacs.com. There's a Calendly link, and I'd love to connect with people within the industry. So.
Okay, sweet. And then as far as the best person, like the person who's best suited to reach out to you without breaking any SEC restrictions. So if you have a 506c raise, that's totally fine. But otherwise, no enticing investors. It's not okay. But everybody is so helpful in, well, I suppose you're also a broker. So there are some, you know, like you can get buyers directly. But who are you best suited to help? Who's the best person to reach out to you where you feel like you can help them more than you could others?
Young people, if you're thinking about getting into real estate, I'd love to talk to you about it. In my experience, anyone that's looking to transition from single family into the multifamily space, I'd love to talk to them as well. So ultimately, there's so much opportunity that people don't realize is out there. And they think that institutional hedge funds are the only ones that own these large multifamily, and it's not true anymore. So.
Right. That's beautiful. So I only have one other thing, and it's actually for you in the camera there, which is if you look over here, there's like, try not to look too carefully because you might go blind. There's this big red button, and it's like, it's awful. Okay. It says subscribe on it, and you really should get rid of it. And the way you get rid of that awful red button is you click on it, and then it turns gray into the gray button of tranquility, and its magical power, the magical spell that the gray button of tranquility does is it means YouTube pays for these videos instead of me, which is exactly what I want, and it's totally free to you. You don't have to use a credit card, email, any of that kind of ridiculousness, and all it means is that these videos might show up on your list of suggestions, but there's no guarantee of that. And you don't even have to watch them because you'd already have done me an enormous favor. Just like Christina, you took a chance on me, you joined me today, then you've done me an enormous favor. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Thanks.
I just want to tell you, because I've actually seen your website, Real Estate is a Scam, before, and I loved it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because I think it's really so spot on. There's good stuff, bad stuff in every industry.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell. For Dan the Man.
And thank you. Turn that subscribe button from red like his beard to gray like his beard will be.
So I met Dan through some networking groups for real estate investing. He's a great guy from what I know about him. He's very ambitious, and he makes it easy to come on with his questions, and has a great setup. It's easy, it's clear, concise, and I'd recommend going on his interviews for anyone that's considering it.
It was unlike anything I've ever experienced. It was super fun. The process was so easy a caveman can do it. I mean, if you guys haven't done it yet, you guys need to get on his calendar. Just take 15 minutes of your time, get exposure, find out who Dan is, what he's about. He's a true trifecta. And if you don't know who he is, get in touch with him. Google his name, find him on LinkedIn, do whatever you can. Just reach out to him.
So I really appreciate the format. Like I've told you a couple times before, I think it's really great because me personally, I'm very long-winded. I have to purposefully make things more concise, but the way I take things in is I definitely prefer things to be concise and straight to the point and concentrated. And the chance encounters really do that great for individuals. So you can get a good grasp on who they are, what do they do, why do they do it, what space do they operate in. That's why I love chance encounters.